The weeks following David's project interview had established a new rhythm for both families. What had started as a one-time favor had evolved into regular playdates, study sessions, and an increasingly close friendship between Emma and David that seemed to bridge their 5-year age gap effortlessly. David's presentation had been a tremendous success. Mr. Rodriguez had praised his unique perspective on family businesses and their community impact, and several classmates had asked thoughtful questions about his father's company. The confidence boost from this achievement had positive effects in other areas of David's life as well. Meanwhile, Sarah had noticed changes in Emma. Having an older friend had motivated Emma to challenge herself academically, and David's patient, encouraging nature had helped Emma with subjects she had previously found frustrating, particularly math. Marcus found himself looking forward to picking David up from Sarah's apartment more than he cared to admit. Their brief conversations at the door had gradually extended into longer discussions about the children's activities, work projects, and eventually more personal topics. On a Friday evening in mid-November, Marcus arrived at Sarah's apartment to find both children working together on Emma's science project about the solar system. They had spread materials across the living room floor and were constructing an elaborate model with painted styrofoam balls and wire hangers. "Dad, look," David called out excitedly. "Emma and I figured out how to make the planets orbit around the sun using this motor from an old toy." Marcus examined their creation with genuine admiration. "This is impressive engineering. Whose idea was it?" "David thought of the motor part," Emma said generously, "but I knew where to find all the materials." Sarah emerged from the kitchen carrying 2 cups of coffee. "I made extra, if you'd like some," she offered to Marcus. "That would be nice, thank you." As they sat watching the children add finishing touches to their solar system, Marcus and Sarah fell into comfortable conversation about the week's events. Sarah mentioned that she had been invited to speak at a digital marketing conference in Seattle, and Marcus encouraged her to accept. "The company will cover all expenses, of course," he said. "It would be excellent exposure for both you and Chin Digital Solutions." "I'd love to go," Sarah said, "but I need to find someone to watch Emma for 3 days. My usual babysitter isn't available that weekend." "Emma could stay with us," Marcus offered without hesitation. "David would be thrilled, and Jennifer and I would enjoy having her." Sarah looked surprised. "Are you sure? That's a lot to ask." "It's not asking at all," Marcus insisted. "We'd be happy to help." Emma, who had been listening to their conversation, looked up from her project with excitement. "Could I really stay at David's house for 3 whole days?" David nodded enthusiastically. "We could work on more science projects, and I could show you my telescope." "David is quite the amateur astronomer," Marcus explained to Sarah. "He's been saving money to buy a better telescope." "That's wonderful," Sarah said, touched by Marcus's generous offer. "If you're really sure it wouldn't be too much trouble, I would be very grateful." The conference arrangement gave both families something to look forward to, but it also represented a new level of trust and intimacy in their relationship. Marcus was essentially offering to care for Sarah's most precious possession, while Sarah was trusting him with Emma's well-being. Over the following weeks, as plans for the conference solidified, both Marcus and Sarah found themselves spending more time together. Marcus would often arrive early to pick up David, staying for dinner when Sarah invited him. Sarah began attending some of David's school events when Marcus couldn't get away from work. The Tuesday before the conference, Sarah was working late when she received a call from Emma's school. Emma had fallen during recess and needed to be picked up. Sarah was in the middle of an important client presentation, and her usual backup plans fell through. In desperation, she called Marcus. "I hate to ask this," she began, "but Emma's hurt at school, and I'm stuck in this presentation. Could you possibly—" "I'm already heading to my car," Marcus interrupted. "Text me the school's address. Don't worry about anything." When Marcus arrived at Riverside Elementary, he found Emma in the nurse's office with a scraped knee and a bruised elbow. She wasn't seriously injured, but she was shaken and wanted her mother. "Hey, Emma," Marcus said gently, kneeling down to her level. "Your mom asked me to come get you. She's stuck at work, but she'll be home soon." Emma's face brightened when she saw him. "Mr. Chun, did you come to rescue me?" "Something like that," Marcus smiled. "Let's get you cleaned up and take you home." As Marcus helped Emma gather her backpack and jacket, He was struck by how natural it felt to step into this parental role. He had missed these everyday moments of caring for a child who needed comfort and reassurance. During the drive to Sarah's apartment, Emma chattered about her day, the accident, and how excited she was about staying at David's house for the weekend. Marcus found himself genuinely enjoying her company in a way that reminded him of conversations with David when he was younger. "Mr. Chun," Emma said as they pulled into the parking lot, "can I ask you something?" "Of course. Do you like my mom?" The directness of the question caught Marcus off guard. "Your mom is an excellent employee and a very nice person," he said carefully. Emma nodded seriously. "She likes you too. She smiles different when she talks about work now than she used to at her old job." Before Marcus could respond, Sarah's car pulled up beside them. She jumped out and hurried over, her face full of concern. "Emma, are you okay? I'm so sorry I couldn't get there myself." "I'm fine, Mom," Emma said, accepting her mother's hug. "Mr. Chin took really good care of me." Sarah looked at Marcus over Emma's head, her eyes filled with gratitude. "Thank you so much. I don't know what I would have done." "It was no problem at all," Marcus assured her. She was very brave. That evening, as Sarah helped Emma with her homework and got her ready for bed, she found herself thinking about Marcus's kindness. He had dropped everything to help them without a moment's hesitation, treating Emma with the same gentle care he would have shown his own son. The conference weekend arrived with unseasonably warm November weather. Sarah felt nervous about leaving Emma for 3 days, but her anxiety was tempered by excitement about the professional opportunity and gratitude for Marcus's willingness to help. When she dropped Emma off at the Chun house on Friday morning, Sarah was impressed by the thought Marcus had put into preparing for their guest. He had set up an air mattress in David's room, stocked the refrigerator with Emma's favorite foods, and cleared his schedule to be present for most of the weekend. "We're going to have so much fun," David assured Emma as they carried her overnight bag to his room. "I planned activities for every day." "Don't overwhelm her," Marcus called after them. But he was smiling. Sarah felt tears prick her eyes as she watched the two children disappear upstairs together. It had been a long time since Emma had experienced this kind of family environment, with siblings and 2 parents and a house full of comfortable, lived-in warmth. "She'll be fine," Marcus said softly, noting Sarah's emotional expression. "More than fine. She and David bring out the best in each other." "I know," Sarah said, wiping her eyes. "It's just been the 2 of us for so long. Seeing her so happy and comfortable here makes me realize how much she's been missing." Marcus nodded in understanding. David's been happier these past few months than he's been since his mother died. Emma has given him something to look forward to, someone to take care of. It's been good for him. The comment about David's mother was the first time Marcus had directly referenced his wife's death in conversation with Sarah. The openness felt significant, like another small step toward deeper friendship. Sarah's flight to Seattle went smoothly, and her conference presentation was a tremendous success. She received several job offers from companies impressed by her expertise, though she had no intention of leaving Chin Digital Solutions. Meanwhile, Marcus found himself genuinely enjoying the weekend with both children. Emma's presence brought a different energy to their house. More laughter, more creativity, more spontaneous adventures. On Saturday, they visited a science museum where Emma's questions and observations delighted both David and Marcus. Sunday was spent working on various projects around the house, with Emma helping David organize his room and both children assisting Marcus with yard work. By Sunday evening, as they prepared dinner together, Marcus realized that Emma had become more than just David's friend or Sarah's daughter. She had somehow become part of their family dynamic in a way that felt both surprising and completely natural. "Mr. Chun," Emma said as they set the table, "this has been the best weekend ever. Thank you for letting me stay here." "Thank you for brightening up our house," Marcus replied sincerely. "It's been wonderful having you here." David nodded emphatically. "Can Emma come stay with us again sometime? Even when her mom doesn't have to travel?" Marcus found himself saying yes before he had fully considered the implications of the request. When Sarah returned from Seattle on Monday evening, she found all 3 of them in the kitchen, with Marcus teaching the children how to make his grandmother's recipe for beef stew. The scene was so domestic and peaceful that Sarah stopped in the doorway, reluctant to interrupt. "Mom," Emma called out when she spotted her. "Look what we're making." David taught me how to use his telescope, and Mr. Chen showed us how to identify different types of clouds. Sarah hugged her daughter tightly, noting how relaxed and happy Emma seemed. It sounds like you had an amazing time. We all did, Marcus said, meeting Sarah's eyes over Emma's head. She was wonderful company. As Sarah gathered Emma's things and prepared to leave, both families felt reluctant to end their extended time together. The weekend had revealed how natural and comfortable their blended dynamic could be. How was the conference? Marcus asked as Sarah packed Emma's clothes. Incredible, Sarah said enthusiastically. I made some great contacts, and several people were interested in partnering with Chuan Digital Solutions on future projects. Marcus smiled with genuine pride. I knew sending you would be a good investment. As they prepared to say goodbye, Emma and David made plans for their next playdate, while Marcus and Sarah found themselves making tentative plans as well. Would you like to come for dinner this weekend? Marcus asked. Both of you, I mean. David's been wanting to show Emma his new telescope, and I'd love to hear more about your conference presentations. That sounds wonderful, Sarah replied, realizing that the invitation felt more personal than professional. That night, as Emma fell asleep in her own bed after 3 days away, she was already planning all the things she wanted to share with David about her mom's trip and all the new things she had learned at his house. Sarah sat in her living room, processing the events of the weekend. Something fundamental had shifted during her time away. The easy way Emma had fit into Marcus's family, the obvious care he had taken with her daughter, and the genuine warmth of his invitation all pointed toward possibilities that Sarah hadn't allowed herself to consider before. Similarly, Marcus found himself unable to concentrate on work emails as he reflected on the weekend. Emma's presence had awakened feelings and hopes he had buried since his wife's death. The house felt too quiet without her laughter, and David seemed lost without his friend to share his enthusiasm with. Both adults were beginning to recognize that what had started as a simple hiring decision had evolved into something much more complex and meaningful. Their children had created a bridge between two families that were healing from different types of loss, and that bridge was becoming stronger with each shared experience. The professional relationship that had brought them together was about to become the foundation for something neither had planned for but both had unconsciously been hoping for: a second chance at family, love, and the kind of happiness that comes from unexpected connections. As both families prepared for sleep that night, in houses that now seemed connected by more than just a business relationship, the simple hiring decision that had started it all felt like it had been guided by something larger than chance. Sometimes the most important changes in life come not from the big decisions we carefully planned for, but from the small moments of kindness that open doors we never knew we were looking for. Sarah's first 3 weeks at Chin Digital Solutions exceeded all her expectations. The transition had been remarkably smooth, with Marcus providing clear direction while giving her the autonomy she craved. The marketing team welcomed her leadership, and their first campaign under her guidance had already generated impressive results for a local restaurant chain. Every morning, Sarah dropped Emma off at Riverside Elementary before heading to the office. The school was only 10 minutes from Chun Digital Solutions, making the logistics much easier than her previous job, where the commute had been nearly an hour each way. Emma had adapted well to their new routine. She was naturally outgoing and had quickly made friends in her new neighborhood. Sarah felt grateful that the job change had improved not just her professional life, but their family life as well. On a Thursday morning in late October, Sarah was running slightly behind schedule. Emma had taken longer than usual to choose her outfit, insisting that her favorite purple sweater was essential for picture day, even though picture day wasn't until the following week. Come on, sweetheart, Sarah said gently, checking her watch. We need to get going. Emma finally emerged from her bedroom, purple sweater perfectly coordinated with her jeans and sneakers. I'm ready, Mom. As they hurried toward the school's front entrance, Emma suddenly stopped walking. Mom, I forgot my library book. It's due today, and Mrs. Peterson said we'd get in trouble if we don't return it on time. Sarah glanced at her watch again. She had an important client presentation at 9:30, and retrieving the library book would make her quite late. But she also knew that Emma took her responsibilities seriously, and disappointing Mrs. Peterson would upset her daughter for the rest of the day. Okay, let's go get it, Sarah decided. But we need to hurry. They drove back to their apartment. Emma ran inside to get the book, and they returned to school just as the first bell was ringing. Sarah quickly kissed Emma goodbye and headed for her car, knowing she would be at least 15 minutes late for work. As Emma hurried toward the school building, she noticed a boy from the older grades sitting alone on the steps, looking upset. She recognized him from seeing him around school, though she didn't know his name. Emma had inherited her mother's compassionate nature, and she couldn't ignore someone who seemed troubled. "Are you okay?" she asked, approaching him carefully. David Chin looked up, surprised that a younger student had noticed him. He had been dreading this moment all morning. Today was the day his class was supposed to present their family heritage projects, and he was the only student who hadn't completed the assignment. "I'm supposed to give a presentation today," David said quietly, "but I didn't finish my project." "What's it about?" Emma asked, sitting down beside him on the steps. "We're supposed to interview our parents about our family history and create a presentation. But my mom and dad are always so busy with work that I never got a chance to interview them properly." Emma nodded sympathetically. "That sounds really hard. My mom works a lot too, but she always tries to help me with my homework." "It's not their fault," David said quickly, feeling the need to defend his parents. "My dad owns a company, and my mom helps run it. They work really hard to take care of me and my sister." "What kind of company?" Emma asked with genuine curiosity. "Digital marketing. They help other businesses with their websites and advertising." Emma's face brightened. "My mom just started working for a digital marketing company, Chin Digital Solutions. Maybe they know each other." David's eyes widened. "That's my dad's company. Your mom is Sarah Martinez." "Yes," Emma exclaimed excitedly. "You're David. Your dad is my mom's boss." The coincidence was so unexpected that both children stared at each other for a moment, processing this discovery. "This is so cool," Emma said. "My mom really likes working for your dad. She says he's much nicer than her old boss." David smiled for the first time that morning. "My dad said your mom is really smart, and that she's going to help make the company even better." The second bell rang, indicating that classes were about to begin. "I should go," David said, standing up reluctantly. "I guess I'll have to tell Mr. Rodriguez that I didn't finish my project." Emma stood up too, but she had an idea brewing. "What if I helped you? I mean, what if you interviewed my mom about what it's like to work with your dad? That could be part of your family story, right? Like what your dad does and how it affects other families." David considered this. "Do you think your mom would have time to talk to me?" "I could ask her," Emma offered. "She picks me up after school sometimes. Maybe you could come with us today and ask her then." David felt a spark of hope. It wasn't the traditional family heritage project he had originally planned, but it could work. And Mr. Rodriguez was always encouraging students to think creatively about their assignments. "That would be amazing," David said. "But I should probably ask my parents first." "Of course," Emma agreed. "And I'll ask my mom too." They exchanged information about their after-school plans and agreed to check with their parents during lunch. As they headed to their respective classrooms, both children felt excited about their unexpected connection. Emma spent the morning thinking about David and his project. During art class, she drew a picture of two families connected by a big building with Chun Digital Solutions written above it. Her teacher, Mrs. Peterson, noticed the drawing. "That's a very interesting picture, Emma. What's the story behind it?" Emma explained about meeting David and discovering that their parents worked together. Mrs. Peterson listened with interest, noting how enthusiastic Emma seemed about helping her new friend. Meanwhile, David found it much easier to concentrate in his classes, knowing that he might have a solution to his project problem. During math, he sketched out ideas for how he could structure his presentation around the theme of family businesses and their impact on the community. At lunch, both children called their parents. Sarah was in the middle of reviewing client analytics when her phone rang. "Hi, sweetheart, is everything okay?" "Mom, I met the coolest boy today. His name is David, and his dad is Mr. Chun, your boss." Sarah's eyebrows raised in surprise. "Really? How did you meet him?" Emma explained the morning's encounter and David's project dilemma. "Can he come home with us today so he can interview you?" "Please, Mom. I really want to help him." Sarah glanced at her calendar. She had planned to work late, but nothing that couldn't wait until tomorrow. The idea of helping Marcus's son was appealing, and She was curious to meet David. "Let me call Mr. Chun and make sure it's okay with him," Sarah said. "If he says yes, then David is welcome to come with us." Across town, David was having a similar conversation with his father. "So you met Sarah's daughter at school?" Marcus asked, leaning back in his office chair. "Yes, and she's really nice, Dad. She wants to help me with my project. Can I go to her house after school to interview her mom?" Marcus was touched by his son's excitement, and he was curious about Sarah's home life as well, not out of nosiness, but because he cared about his employees' well-being and wanted to understand what motivated such a talented person. "Let me call Sarah and coordinate with her," Marcus said. "If she's comfortable with it, then, yes, you can go." When Sarah's phone rang a few minutes later, she saw Marcus's name on the caller ID. "I hear our children have become friends," Marcus said with amusement in his voice. "Apparently so," Sarah laughed. "Emma is very excited about helping David with his project. She's quite the little problem solver." "David has been struggling with this assignment for weeks," Marcus admitted. "I feel terrible that we haven't made time to help him properly. This job requires so much attention that sometimes family things slip through the cracks." Sarah understood completely. It's hard to balance everything. But maybe this will work out for everyone. "I'd be happy to help David with his project." They arranged for David to ride home with Sarah and Emma after school, with Marcus picking him up after dinner. Both parents felt good about the arrangement, though neither anticipated how much this simple playdate would change their family's dynamics. That afternoon, Sarah waited in the school pickup line, watching for Emma and her new friend. When she saw them walking together, chatting animatedly, she was struck by how natural their friendship seemed. Emma was gesturing enthusiastically while David listened with obvious interest. "Mom, this is David," Emma announced as they approached the car. "David, this is my mom, Sarah." "Nice to meet you, David," Sarah said warmly. "Your father has told me a lot about you." David smiled shyly. "Thank you for letting me come over, Ms. Martinez. I really appreciate it. Please, call me Sarah." "And you're very welcome." During the drive to their apartment, the children chattered about school, their teachers, and their favorite subjects. Sarah listened to their conversation, noting how easily they connected despite their age difference. Emma and David's friendship seemed to bridge not just their age gap, but their different personalities as well. Emma was outgoing and impulsive, while David was more reserved and thoughtful. Yet they complemented each other perfectly, with Emma's enthusiasm drawing David out of his shell, and David's maturity helping to focus Emma's energy. When they arrived at Sarah's apartment, David was impressed by how cozy and welcoming it felt. The living room was decorated with Emma's artwork and family photos, and books were scattered on every surface. It felt like a real home, unlike his family's more formal house. "Would you like something to drink?" Sarah offered. "I have juice, milk, or water." "Juice, please," both children said in unison, then looked at each other and laughed. As Sarah prepared snacks in the kitchen, she could hear Emma giving David a tour of their apartment. "This is my room, and this is where I do my homework, and this is my mom's office where she works sometimes when she brings work home." When they settled in the living room for the interview, David had his notebook ready and a list of questions prepared. "First," he said seriously, "can you tell me what your job at my dad's company involves?" Sarah explained her role as marketing director, describing how she developed strategies to help other businesses grow and succeed. David took careful notes, asking thoughtful follow-up questions that impressed Sarah with their maturity. "What was it like when you first started working there?" David asked. "Your father made me feel very welcome," Sarah said honestly. "He gave me the freedom to try new ideas and supported my suggestions even when they were different from what the company had done before." "Dad says you're really good at your job," David said proudly. "I hope so," Sarah smiled. "Your father is a good boss because he trusts his employees and gives them room to do their best work." As the interview continued, Emma occasionally added her own observations, which David carefully included in his notes. Sarah found herself enjoying the conversation more than she had expected. David's questions were thoughtful and showed genuine interest in understanding how his father's work affected other people. "Can I ask you something personal?" David said hesitantly. "Of course. Is it hard being a single mom and having a job like yours?" Sarah paused, touched by the sincerity of the question. "Sometimes it is challenging," she said honestly. But your father has made it much easier by being understanding when I need flexibility for Emma's needs. Emma nodded vigorously. Mom doesn't have to work as late as she did at her old job. David made another note. Dad says it's important to treat employees like family. He's right, Sarah agreed. When people feel valued at work, they do their best work. After an hour of interviewing, David had filled several pages with notes and ideas for his presentation. Emma had contributed her own insights about how her mother's job change had affected their family life. This is going to be a great project, Sarah told David as he organized his notes. You've asked all the right questions, and you have a unique angle that I'm sure your classmates haven't thought of. Thank you so much, David said earnestly. I was really worried about this presentation, but now I'm actually excited about it. Emma beamed with pride at having helped solve David's problem. When Marcus arrived to pick up David, he found all three of them in the living room, with David excitedly explaining his project ideas while Emma and Sarah listened with interest. Dad, David called out when he saw Marcus at the door. This interview was amazing. I have so many good ideas for my presentation now. Marcus looked around Sarah's comfortable apartment, noting the warmth and creativity that seemed to fill every corner. It looks like you all had a productive afternoon. David is going to give an excellent presentation, Sarah said. He asked very thoughtful questions and really listened to the answers. Can David come over again soon? Emma asked hopefully. We could work on more school projects together. If it's okay with Sarah, it's okay with me, Marcus said, looking at Sarah questioningly. Of course, Sarah replied. Emma would love to have a friend to work with. As Marcus and David prepared to leave, both parents found themselves reluctant to end the pleasant evening. The afternoon had given them a glimpse into each other's personal lives that went far beyond their professional relationship. Thank you again for helping, David, Marcus said to Sarah. You went above and beyond. It was my pleasure, Sarah said sincerely. Emma enjoyed it as much as David did. As they drove home, David chattered enthusiastically about his project and his new friendship with Emma. Marcus listened with growing awareness that something significant had shifted that afternoon. It wasn't just that David had solved his homework problem or that Emma had made a new friend. For the first time since his wife's death 2 years earlier, Marcus had experienced the warmth of another family's home. He had seen how Sarah balanced her professional competence with genuine caring for her daughter, and he had watched his son come alive in a way that reminded him of happier times. Sarah, meanwhile, was experiencing her own revelations as she and Emma discussed their afternoon. Seeing Marcus in the role of a caring father, rather than just her boss, had revealed a dimension of his personality that made her understand why his employees were so loyal to him. Neither adult was ready to acknowledge the shift in their feelings, but both children sensed that something important had changed. Emma fell asleep that night planning all the ways she could help David with future school projects, while David drifted off thinking about how nice it had been to spend time in a home that felt so warm and welcoming. The simple favor of helping with a school project had opened a door that neither family had expected, and neither parent was quite ready to walk through. Marcus Chun adjusted his tie for the third time that morning as he walked through the gleaming lobby of Chun Digital Solutions. The marble floors reflected the morning sunlight streaming through floor-to-ceiling windows, and the soft hum of productive energy filled the air. Employees moved with purpose between the open workspaces, their conversations a mix of technical jargon and creative brainstorming. At 42, Marcus had built his company from a small freelance operation in his garage to a thriving digital marketing agency with over 50 employees. The journey hadn't been easy. Long nights spent coding websites, countless client meetings, and the constant pressure of managing cash flow had aged him beyond his years. But today felt different. Today, he was finally in a position to hire someone who could take a significant load off his shoulders. Sarah Martinez sat in the reception area, her portfolio balanced on her knees as she reviewed her presentation notes one final time. The leather folder contained 5 years of her best work, campaign strategies that had increased client revenue by hundreds of thousands, social media campaigns that had gone viral, and testimonials from grateful business owners whose companies she had transformed. At 28, Sarah had worked for 3 different agencies, each experience teaching her valuable lessons about what worked in digital marketing and what didn't. She had left her last position because she felt undervalued and underpaid, despite consistently delivering results that exceeded expectations. When she saw the job posting for a senior marketing director at Shin Digital Solutions, she knew it was exactly the opportunity she had been waiting for. "Ms. Martinez?" The receptionist's voice interrupted her thoughts. "Mr. Chun is ready to see you now." Sarah stood, smoothed her navy blazer, and followed the receptionist down a hallway lined with awards and client testimonials. The office door opened to reveal Marcus standing behind a large desk, extending his hand with a warm smile. "Please, have a seat," Marcus said, gesturing to a comfortable chair across from his desk. "I've reviewed your resume and portfolio online. Very impressive work with the Rodriguez Restaurant Group campaign." Sarah's face lit up. "Thank you. That campaign was particularly challenging because we had to completely rebrand their image after some negative publicity. We increased their foot traffic by 60% within 3 months." Marcus nodded approvingly. "That's exactly the kind of strategic thinking we need here. Our client base has grown significantly this year, and I need someone who can not only manage existing accounts but also develop new strategies for expansion." For the next hour, they discussed Sarah's experience, her vision for digital marketing trends, and her approach to team management. Marcus found himself genuinely impressed by her insights and her ability to explain complex strategies in simple terms. Sarah, meanwhile, appreciated Marcus's direct communication style and his obvious passion for his business. "I have to ask," Marcus said, leaning back in his chair, "why are you looking to leave your current position? On paper, you seem to be doing very well there." Sarah paused, choosing her words carefully. "I love what I do, but I feel like I've hit a ceiling. My current company doesn't value innovation, and they're resistant to trying new approaches. I want to work somewhere that appreciates creative thinking and gives me the autonomy to implement my ideas." Marcus smiled. "That's exactly what we're looking for. We're not interested in maintaining the status quo. Our clients choose us because we deliver results they can't get elsewhere." As the interview continued, both Marcus and Sarah felt a growing sense that this could be a perfect match. Sarah's experience filled gaps in Marcus's knowledge, while his entrepreneurial vision aligned perfectly with her desire for creative freedom. "I'd like to discuss the compensation package," Marcus said, pulling out a folder. "The base salary is $85,000, plus performance bonuses that could add another $20,000 to $30,000 annually. We also offer full health benefits, 3 weeks paid vacation, and profit sharing after 1 year." Sarah's eyes widened slightly. It was $15,000 more than she was currently making, and the bonus structure was far more generous than anything she had experienced. "There is one thing I should mention," Sarah said hesitantly. "I have a 7-year-old daughter, Emma. She's in 2nd grade, and sometimes I might need flexibility for school events or if she gets sick." Marcus waved his hand dismissively. "That's not a problem at all. We understand that our employees have lives outside of work. As long as the work gets done and our clients are happy, we're flexible about how and when that happens." Relief washed over Sarah's face. Her previous employer had made her feel guilty every time she needed to attend a parent-teacher conference or leave early for a school play. "I do have one request," Marcus continued. "I'd like you to meet with our current marketing team before we make a final decision. Not because I have doubts about your qualifications, but because I want to make sure you'll fit well with our company culture." Sarah agreed readily. "I'd welcome the opportunity to meet the people I'd be working with." Marcus scheduled a second meeting for the following week, where Sarah would spend half a day working with the team on a mock campaign. As she left the office, Sarah felt more optimistic about a job opportunity than she had in years. That evening, Sarah sat at her kitchen table helping Emma with her homework while mentally rehearsing how she would approach the team meeting. Emma, a precocious child with her mother's dark hair and bright, curious eyes, seemed to sense her mother's excitement. "Mom, you seem really happy today," Emma observed, looking up from her math worksheet. Sarah smiled. "I might have found a new job, sweetheart. One that would be better for both of us." "Would you still have to work late all the time?" Emma asked hopefully. "Hopefully not as much," Sarah replied, though she knew that any senior position would require significant time and energy. Meanwhile, across town, Marcus was having dinner with his own family. His wife, Jennifer, listened as he described the interview with Sarah. "She sounds perfect for the position," Jennifer said, cutting vegetables for their salad. What's holding you back? Marcus shrugged. Nothing really. I just want to be absolutely sure. This position is crucial for our growth plans, and I can't afford to make a mistake. Their conversation was interrupted by their 12-year-old son, David, who had been quietly working on his own homework at the counter. Dad, did you say she has a daughter my age? A bit younger. 7, I think. David nodded thoughtfully, but didn't elaborate on whatever he was thinking. The following week arrived quickly. Sarah dressed carefully for her team meeting, choosing an outfit that was professional, but not overly formal. She wanted to make a good impression while also appearing approachable. The Chun Digital Solutions marketing team consisted of 5 people, ranging from recent college graduates to seasoned professionals. Marcus introduced Sarah and explained that she would be working with them on a hypothetical campaign for a local fitness chain looking to expand into online training. We've got 2 hours to develop a comprehensive strategy, Marcus announced. I'll be observing, but I want this to be collaborative. Sarah, feel free to jump in however feels natural. At first, the team seemed slightly reserved, which Sarah understood. They were essentially interviewing her while she was interviewing them. But as they began brainstorming, Sarah's enthusiasm and expertise began to shine through. What if we positioned them not just as a gym, but as a lifestyle transformation company? Sarah suggested, writing ideas on the whiteboard. The online training component could be the bridge between in-person workouts and daily lifestyle changes. Tom, the team's graphic designer, leaned forward with interest. That opens up so many visual possibilities. We could create transformation stories, before and after content, day-in-the-life features. Exactly, Sarah nodded. And we could use social media to create a community aspect. People sharing their progress, supporting each other, celebrating milestones. Lisa, the social media specialist, began typing rapidly on her laptop. I can already see the hashtag campaigns. We could do challenges, user-generated content, partnerships with local nutritionists. As the session progressed, Sarah found herself naturally falling into a leadership role, but not in a dominating way. She asked questions that sparked creative thinking, built on other people's ideas, and helped organize their brainstorming into a coherent strategy. Marcus watched from the corner of the room, taking notes not just on the campaign they were developing, but on how Sarah interacted with his team. He noticed how she listened carefully to each person's input, how she gave credit to others for good ideas, and how she guided the discussion without stifling anyone's creativity. By the end of the 2 hours, they had developed a campaign strategy that was more comprehensive and creative than anything Marcus had seen his team produce in months. More importantly, he could see that his employees were energized and excited about working with Sarah. After Sarah left, Marcus gathered his team for feedback. Well, he asked simply. She's amazing, Lisa said immediately. She actually listened to our ideas and made them better, instead of just telling us what to do. Tom nodded in agreement. And she knows what she's talking about. Some of those strategies she suggested, I'd never heard of them, but they make perfect sense. I think she'd be great to work for, added Mike, their content writer. She seems like someone who would trust us to do our jobs while still providing guidance when we need it. Marcus smiled. He had his answer. The next morning, Marcus called Sarah with a job offer. The salary and benefits were exactly as discussed, with a start date in 2 weeks. I'm thrilled to accept, Sarah said, her voice filled with genuine excitement. Thank you for this opportunity. Thank you for bringing your talent to our team, Marcus replied. I think this is going to be a great partnership. As Sarah hung up the phone, she felt a wave of relief and anticipation. For the first time in years, she was truly excited about going to work. The new position offered everything she had been looking for: creative freedom, fair compensation, and a boss who seemed to value work-life balance. That evening, she broke the news to Emma over dinner. The nice man gave me the job, Sarah announced. Emma clapped her hands together. Does that mean you'll be happier at work? I think so, sweetheart. And it means we'll have a little more money for things like that art camp you wanted to attend this summer. Emma's face lit up. Really? Can I tell Mrs. Peterson tomorrow? Sarah laughed. Of course you can. As Emma chattered excitedly about all the things she would tell her teacher and friends, Sarah felt a deep sense of satisfaction. She had worked hard to get to this point, and Finally, her efforts were being recognized and rewarded. Meanwhile, Marcus spent his evening updating job postings and reorganizing the company structure to accommodate Sarah's role. He was confident that hiring her would be one of the best business decisions he had made in years. Neither of them could have predicted that their professional relationship was about to become much more complicated, thanks to an unexpected connection that had nothing to do with digital marketing campaigns or profit margins. The simple hiring decision that seemed so straightforward was about to evolve into something neither of them had anticipated, all because of a curious 12-year-old boy and a precocious 7-year-old girl who were about to cross paths in the most ordinary of circumstances. The wheels of change had been set in motion, though Marcus and Sarah remained blissfully unaware that their carefully planned professional arrangement was about to become deeply, irreversibly personal.